Now, later this month, Sky News embarks on our Deep Ocean Live project. In a series of groundbreaking live programmes, we'll be diving from the Aldabra Atoll, which is one of the world's largest and most remote coral reefs, 600 miles southwest of the Seychelles. We'll be with scientists carrying out what is effectively a health check on life that exists, well, where you can see now, in one of the most precious and pristine areas of the ocean. And I'm joined now by Patricia, the Commonwealth Secretary-General. The Commonwealth's Blue Charter initiative aims to protect our oceans, seas and lakes, and the Commonwealth goes some way to support the work of the scientists that we will be with in the Indian Ocean. Thanks very much. Welcome. Just this Blue Charter initiative, why do you think that is so important?
Because we are basically a blue world, and our oceans have been absorbing pollution which has been coming from our land, but it's been able to stabilise our world. Now we're getting to tipping point, because as our oceans are getting hotter and they're absorbing so much of the plastic and the debris, we are now endangering what is fundamentally our lifeblood. So as we now understand that the oceans are as rich as our land and we want to explore it, we've got to be able to do that safely and to not make the sort of mistakes that we made on our land. That's why the Nekton project, which Sky is participating in, is so vitally important. We've got to have the science. We've got to make the knowledge known so we can make really good choices on how we develop our oceans in the future.
And what does the Blue Charter require? Have all the Commonwealth countries signed up?
Absolutely,
so
all
what
of
does
them.
it require them to do then?
What we've done is we've looked at our values and said all the values that we have inculcated into our Commonwealth Charter. And we have said, how can we do that now to our oceans? How do we pool all the information that we have? How do we make all our commitments? But how do we convert those aspirations into action? So we've now got 9 action groups. Action group on plastics, on acidification, on coral reefs, because what we want to do is to pool the knowledge about what works and what doesn't work, share it so we can really make a difference, and so that we can build policies and approaches that will not damage our environment, which will keep our oceans safe, will help us to clean up the plastics and the other pollutants that are in the ocean.
Does it give you any say over the emissions of member countries, say for India, on the broader issue of climate change? Because India is a country that worries environmentalists perhaps most because it's going to expand over 2 decades or so.
I think we need to be worried about what we're all doing, because unfortunately our developed countries have been primarily responsible for the pollution that we have now, and we've got to find better pathways for those of us who are making these choices now to do better. So what we are doing is looking at the science, and the Commonwealth has come up with a charter as well as a toolkit, a climate change toolkit, to help our countries to look at what legislation we now want to put in.
And do you get the impression that a country like India, which, as I say, worries environmentalists, predicted the country's energy demand will double by 2040? Coal accounts for half of the energy demand there. Does anything in that Blue Charter call India to account for what is happening and what may well happen over the next 2 decades?
Well, I think what's really exciting is that all of our countries committed to the climate change agenda on Paris. The Commonwealth was the first to do it in 1989. The countries were there. India is doing some fantastic work on solar energy and on oceans. So we are asking all of our countries to take a leadership role, to choose and to participate in these action teams, to spread good practice and the knowledge. And so the more we understand how to do things better, environmentally more sensitively, and in a way that will not damage, we've got to be able to develop our wealth, but to do it environmentally sensitively in a way that does not damage our long-term healthy productivity.
Because there are chains of islands in the Commonwealth that are at risk from sea level rises.
Yep, and we have 31 of the 39 small states in the world. And this existential threat to our island states are real. We saw it. What happened in the Caribbean, where so many of our countries were just devastated. The country of my birth, Dominica, as a result of the the terrible hurricane Maria, 230% of the GDP gone. So many of the other islands, Antigua and Barbuda were hit. I mean, all the way through. And then devastation happening in the Pacific Islands too. Now, all of these small island states live with the reality that if the sea continues to rise, some of them are going to disappear.
So, while you're here, while we're on the subject of India, how concerned are you about the threatened conflict between India and Pakistan, two Commonwealth members?
Well, this is a matter of course, real concern. But what's been good is the de-escalation that we're seeing, the good comments that are coming out both from the ministers in India and from Imran Khan from Pakistan. It looks as if they are both wanting to de-escalate this situation.
Can the Commonwealth get involved in trying to help this de-escalation?
The Commonwealth always stands ready for any of our members if they feel that we can help. We are there, and you'll know that there have been a number of countries in the recent past where the Commonwealth has been able to make a contribution and has been able, quite often behind the scenes, to do things. So we'll always stand ready to help our members. But
it's very difficult to do an interview without mentioning Brexit. Is it your hope that the Commonwealth is standing by to take over as the sort of main trading bloc for Britain? A serious point, after Brexit, the post-EU world, is it your hope that Britain, you know, does leave and does start doing business around the world with the Commonwealth? Where do you stand on that?
I think the first thing to say is all our member states have to make up their own minds about what they do or do not do. What we do, intra-Commonwealth trade, is growing. It's grown from about 585 billion, and we hope by next year it should be 700 billion. We hope by 2030 it will be 2 trillion. That is a pathway. There is a huge opportunity for growth. There's a 19% advantage in Commonwealth countries trading with each other, and when they have disputes, they settle them 20% more swiftly.
But you know, I don't think there's a Commonwealth country in the top 10 of trading countries with Britain at the moment.
No.
Is that going to change, and can it change if some Commonwealth countries like India keep barriers as high as they are? Where is the free trade? I'm not sure India's even done a free trade deal with the EU. Well, so there would be problems, wouldn't there?
But I think what you have to look at for the Commonwealth is we trade with each other irrespective of whether there are these deals. Most of our countries are in regional alignments, and yet if you look at the trade, intra-Commonwealth trade between us, it is high and growing higher. What we are looking at is trying to create instruments which will make it even easier for us to trade. The WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement is something that we can work on, particularly because we're all common law countries. The instruments that we use are very similar. We are looking too at the new continental free trade area that's being created in Africa. These are real opportunities that we have to try and exploit and take advantage of for all 53 countries.
Okay, a quick word on women's rights. You're the first female Secretary-General of the Commonwealth. Where are we, do you think, on women's rights in Africa, in Commonwealth countries? I mean, you know, violence against women in countries like Kenya, Pakistan is still a serious problem. Where are we, in your view, as the first female Secretary-General, on women's rights in the Commonwealth?
Well, I think I was really warm. 53 leaders at the Commonwealth Heads of Government last year in Windsor and in London. Huge commitments made. Just to say, this issue of violence against women, I'm afraid, is global. It's 1 in 3 women across the world who are affected by this. And domestic violence and violence against women does not seem to be any respecter of race, region, religion, ethnic background, and therefore it is a global problem. And it's a global problem which is affecting all the members of the Commonwealth. Indeed, it's one that affects this country as vehemently as any other. So we are working together to change that. We're doing some work on the economic cost of violence against women, trying to help countries to understand how best to interdict it and to make a difference. We need our women to be participating, but you would expect me to say that.
I would.